Hi friends, I'm John Laspina, your carnivore teacher. I transitioned from the standard American diet, I live in America, to keto almost 6 years ago. And the way I did that is I watched a video. I learned to take out all vegetable seed oils and not eat any foods that have seed oils in it, which eliminated all the ultra-processed foods and all of the fast food. So I had to buy the food and make it myself. In the process of doing that, I eliminated all the seed oils. And I'm just very cautious to read ingredients if I bought anything that had seed oils in it, not to make sure I eat those. Like when you looked at salad dressings and ketchups and condiments, they had seed oils in them, I threw them out. Then I was eating seeds and nuts and plants and some fruits and lots of meat. And I kept my total carbohydrate level down as close to 20 total grams as possible. And how did I know what that was? I put an app on my phone and I typed in all the names of the food, or I scanned the barcodes, and the app did the work for me. And it told me at the end of the day, it told me by the meal, by the food, and then at the end of the day, I could look at a pie chart and see how much of my diet for that day was protein, how much was fat, and how much was carbohydrates, percentage-wise. And the goal was to manipulate what you put in your mouth so that you're under 20 total grams of carbs a day. Now, the average standard American diet day meal is over 200, 300 total grams of carbohydrates. So when you're switching to under 20, that's a huge difference. That's a big change. And that's what ketogenic, that's what keto is. And it forces you to go into a ketogenic state. So eventually, after a few weeks, my body started to switch over to using fatty acids, which made ketones, instead of the carbohydrates, which turned into sugar, because there were not enough carbohydrates in my body. So I did keto, and I had a little diarrhea at the beginning, but it went away real fast. I didn't have as much energy because my body was used to running on glucose, and all of a sudden it didn't have enough glucose. I had to teach my body how to use ketones. So there's a transition period, a learning period. Your mitochondria and all of your cells are learning to use the ketones, the fatty acids, as a preference because there's not enough glucose coming in. Now, my liver makes just the amount I need, so there's no low amount that was going to be dangerous enough that I would be in trouble. You know, I was still used to having so much glucose that I felt tired. That went away after a few days, and I started getting used to it in the routine, and I was ketogenic for 1 whole year. Lost 35 pounds, felt great, bragging about this diet, started my channel. I called myself the Carb Addiction Teacher, and talked about just carbohydrates and lowering them and all the healthy plants that you can eat and nuts and seeds and a few berries. Well, a year later, really big side effect, because I was eating a lot of salads with spinach, I made these like protein shakes with cinnamon and turmeric and vanilla extract and a lot of like stevia and monk fruit. And I gave myself so many oxalates. They had to come out. They had to dump. And I had a dumping episode that was painful called a kidney stone. And so I rushed to the hospital. They did a scan and they saw the stone had just left the kidney and was traveling through the ureter to the bladder, and it was scraping and it was gouging along the way because those little calcium oxalate stones are not smooth. They are jagged, sharp things, and man, did it hurt. It was painful. After I passed it through my urethra and I caught it, I brought it in and had it analyzed to verify it was a calcium oxalate kidney stone. I did a video on here a while back, and I held it up into the camera and I showed it to you. It's real tiny, but that little sucker really hurt me bad. So then, of course, as a teacher and a student, I Googled calcium oxalate. What are oxalates? Where are they from? And they're from all the plants I was eating. They're from all the nuts and seeds I was eating and some of the fruits I was eating. So I turned into Ketovore, which is approximately 10 total grams of carbohydrates or less. I stopped using that app on the phone and the pie chart when I was on keto, and I started back up again on Ketovore. That's how I knew that I was under 10 total grams of carbs. And I made sure that I had almost no plants. I was eating a little bit of broccoli, maybe some asparagus. I cut out all the nuts and seeds. I didn't have any more fruits. The fruits I was having was raspberries, which I found out were pretty high in oxalate. Cut out the cinnamon and all the spices. And Ketovore is basically 10 total grams a day, which I got from eggs and fish and a few low oxalate plants, bell peppers, Bib lettuce. And I did that for 3 years, actually, and adjusted my videos that I made, but I adjusted it and said I was a ketovore, and I was fine. And then I realized after watching a lot of the carnivore videos that I'm so close to being a carnivore, all I have to do is just cut out that little bit that I was eating and I'm a carnivore. So I stopped drinking coffee. I did a coffee stopping video if you want to learn how I did that. It really wasn't that hard, but I did have to wean off to avoid the headaches and all the problems. I cut out the little bit of vegetables on the plate for dinner. That's all I had to do. So it took me from 10 total grams a day, probably to 2 or 3 carbs a day, which I was getting from eggs, maybe some shrimp every once in a while, maybe the glycogen in the meat, basically 0 to 3 total carbohydrates a day. And that's where I am today. And I've been a full carnivore for almost 2 years. This January will be 2 years. When I transitioned from standard American diet to ketogenic, I told you I had a little diarrhea. I told you that I had low energy because my mitochondria was adjusting to becoming keto adapted. And that's it. Then when I was keto for the whole year, I was just moving along, feeling great, eating everything I wanted to until I got that other horrible symptom from too many oxalates from all the plants. I got that kidney stone. So oxalates are bad. I did a lot of videos about oxalates. I wrote an article and published it about oxalate. When I transitioned to Ketovore, I didn't really notice any changes, just positive benefits, more energy, better sleep. Then when I went from Ketovore to carnivore, all I had to do was cut out the coffee, and that, to get rid of the headaches, I slowly weaned myself off the caffeine and felt better. My energy was balanced all day. I didn't have any lows or highs. And I've been carnivore for the 2 years with amazing side effects of good health, of great mood. Just better than Ketovore, better than keto, 100 times better than the standard American diet. So I made this video because a viewer asked me specifically to talk about my changes over the years and the side effects and things that I experienced when I switched over from one diet to the next. I call it a way of eating because I don't think of it as I'm on a diet. I am eating this way for life. Now, I'm going on a total, this January, I'm going on 6 full years of low carbohydrate, 2 full years of carnivore. I highly recommend this to anyone who wants to lose weight. I highly recommend it to anyone who wants to clear up their brain fog, get mental clarity, improve their emotional health, improve any issues you may have with your skin or your joints. There's so many benefits. And if you think about it, we're eating our foods that are ancestrally appropriate for our human species. How can we go wrong? How can you go wrong when you take out poisonous machine lubricants called seed oils? How can you go wrong when you take out all the added sugars and carbohydrates that basically aren't good for the body? They glycate, they make you gain weight, they cause lots of problems with insulin resistance. How can you go wrong by eating protein, fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals? You can't. You can't. Your body responds by healing itself from the inside out and by giving you good health. So ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we should all go low carb because our modern diet all around the world, whatever country you're in, has too many carbohydrates. It has seed oil in it. I can't say too much. You shouldn't have any seed oil. I don't know why we have this. And go back to eating the way we humans are supposed to eat, the way our ancestors ate for hundreds of thousands of years, all the way up until around the 1880s when it all changed. If you like this video, click the thumbs up. If you like my content a lot, share it with friends and family. Become a subscriber. I invite you if you're interested, and have a really great day.